Hi everybody, it's Ann Patchett and Nemo Van Devender at Parnassus Books. And it's a very hot, humid summer day here in Middle Tennessee. And because of that, there just aren't a lot of books being published right now. It's a quiet day on the Laydown Diaries. And so what I'm going to do is recap the book recommendations that I made on the PBS NewsHour last night. You know why? Because it gives me the opportunity to say, people support PBS and NPR. We're going, yay! You don't miss the water till the well runs dry, and we really need these news outlets. So last night I was on the NewsHour with my pal Maureen Corrigan recommending some books, and these are the books that I recommended for summer reading. You've heard me talk about them before, but I'm going to remind you, you have to read Who is Government? Michael Lewis. Every day this book becomes more essential. It's a collection of essays. Michael Lewis wrote 2 of them. Casey Sepp wrote one, Dave Eggers wrote one, Geraldine Brooks wrote one. Great people. And they're talking, each person is talking about one specific person and their important, unheralded job in the government, and how someone at the IRS broke a crime ring, and someone at the FDA found a drug that saved a child's life, and someone else did this amazing thing where he was an engineer for mines, and since he did his government work with mines, coal mining, not one mine had collapsed. So read this book. It's just incredibly engrossing, and it pairs so beautifully with John Green's Everything is Tuberculosis. John Green, who is our very favorite and best YA writer, has a lifelong obsession with tuberculosis. So he talks about tuberculosis in history, and he also talks about a boy who becomes a very good friend of his who has tuberculosis, and what would happen if the World Health Organization got defunded. What, Nemo? What would happen? I talked about 2 novels that I love. The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. This is debut fiction. It is an epistolary novel. That's a really hard form to write in which everything that happens in this book happens in a letter. It starts off with a grouchy older woman who is isolated, who slowly, through points of connection, becomes more and more a part of her society. It's a really wonderful book. And I am in it as a character. And Satisfaction Cafe, which is our FEC pick for this month and the month of July. And I love this book. It reminds me of Ann Tyler. It's the whole story of one woman's life, and she is quiet and she is ignored and underrated by the people around her, but actually she does a lot of great things. And the last book we talked about, Mr. Dog, Margaret Wise Brown. This is a book, it's a little golden book, it's old. It was Margaret Wise Brown's last book, and it's the story of a dog who owns himself. Okay, Lindsay, what you got?
In addition to NPR and PBS, support your local news stations. Fun fact about me, I drive a beat-up old Jeep that's missing a door handle, and a couple months ago it decided that it no longer believes in the aux cord or Bluetooth. So now I listen to WNXP every morning on my commute to work, and I was like, I'll replace the aux cord. I didn't, because I like listening to it so much, and now I've become a recurring donor. So join me. Donate to your local stations as well.
I want to join you on everything.
Thank you. Out today, we have a Good Morning America pick. It's so hard for me to not do a Monty Python voice when I say, not quite dead yet. Holly Jackson, who is normally hanging out over in YA, is the author of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is both a bestseller and a TV show. This is her adult mystery debut. It follows a woman who has been fatally wounded, and she has a couple of days to solve her own murder. Check it out. Out in paperback, National Treasure, Local of Nashville, Major Jackson, the paperback of his poetry collection, Razzle Dazzle, so you can have beautiful poetry in your pocket. And it might be slow in publishing, but that's great news for debut novelists who get attention when there's not as many books publishing, and we can focus all of our attention on debut novelists. So a couple of debut novels that I am excited about. Myra by Nikki Gonzalez. This is Southern Gothic. So if you want swampy landscapes and houses that are not quite right, check this one out. For contemporary literary debut fiction, Maggie or a Man and a Woman Walk into a Bar by Katie Yee. I have heard so many writers I admire raving about this book. I can't wait to check it out. If you want some comedic contemporary fiction, Amy Silverberg, First Time, Long Time, a young woman trying to figure herself out. She wants to be a writer. She's dealing with grief. She falls for an older man, but then she also finds herself maybe a little attracted to his daughter. Mess abound. I can't wait to read this one. And for some literary weird fiction, Pan by Michael Clune. Michael Clune has been writing for a long time, but this is his first novel, to my knowledge. A young boy is experiencing panic attacks and decides that he's actually possessed by Pan, the Greek god. So check this one out. Check all these out. Support debut novelists. Also support your local news stations. And kicking it over to Elise.
Thanks, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. Okay, so first things first, shout outs. Tamara, thanks for coming in, telling us you watched the videos, introducing yourself. And to Pat and Rose, drove all the way from Illinois to come to an event, introduce themselves. They watched the videos, and thank all of you for watching. So I'm starting last week because Friday and Saturday we had some pretty stellar events. Stacey Abrams, and I'm telling you about them because now we have signed copies of these books. So this is Coded Justice. This is number 3 in the Avery Keene series by Stacey. She's fabulous. This is fabulous. Signed copies. Then Lisa Scottolini did her one-person show here, and Anna's over here going like, it was so, yeah, you want to say something? Hi, Lisa.
So good. Hi, Lisa. My new best friend, we both write on treadmill desks.
Yes, and
Love her.
we love her. This is The Unraveling of Julia. Wonderful signed copies. You know, get these while we have them. They're signed. And, you know, the holidays are not that far away, and nothing says happy fill in your blank like a signed copy of something great. These two, as well as many others, which you can check on the website. Hey, and last night, the Nightshade God, this was great. Hannah Witten was here with Jenna Levine. It was a great event. We have signed copies of this, and this is the last in the trilogy of the Nightshade Crown series. Wonderful. Tonight, we have Barry Mazur, and this is Blood Harmony. This is the definitive biography of the Everly brothers, and he's going to be here with Ann Powers. And both of them, Ann is a great friend of the store. We've had Barry here before, so this is going to be a lot of fun. I started this yesterday, and there is just tons of really interesting information, really well written. I'm flying through it. Then some things that are coming up I do want to mention. So this is Rebecca Danzenbaker. This is the Parnassus Next Pick. This is a young adult novel, romantasy, and maybe Rayanne is going to talk a little bit more about this. And then we're going to have an event with Solari Gentle. And this is The Woman in the Library. This is her last book, and I'm holding it up because the new one isn't out yet. And her new one is called Five Found Dead. We sold hundreds and hundreds of copies of this. So she's going to be here for her new book, and that's going to be exciting in August. And then also in August, I want to mention Jason Mott, People Like Us. Anne and I both read that book, and it's so fabulous. And it is so fabulous that we picked it for our First Editions Club selection for August. He's going to be here in August in conversation with Steve Harouche. Go on the website because there are hundreds of events we have now posted. And then I never want to forget, Saturday story time, 10:30 with the fabulous Parnassus staff. Hannah P. and Allie, you are not going to want to miss it. You're also not going to want to miss Rayanne, who's up next.
Thanks, Elise. Hi, everyone. I want to give my shout out to Lisa Scottolini. Will be my staff rec next time. Such a fun book. We had such a good time at the event. Hey, everybody. We've got some good picture books out today. Island Storm by 2 award winners, Brian Floca and Sydney Smith, is out today. I love a picture book about siblings. I can imagine my brother and I being in this book, and they live on an island. A storm is coming, and they're pretty excited. They go out to see it, but then they have to scurry back home to safety. Such a beautiful, book, both words and illustrations. Wild Everywhere by Katia Balin and Gil Smith. This is about a girl who moves to the city with her mom, and she feels that she's lost her wild until she meets a bird who leads her to the wild places in her city, and she sees all the animals that live there. It's so beautiful. Middle grade readers, really love horror now. This is Paul Tremblay's new horror novel for middle graders. A boy has a sleepover, but the friend that comes over starts to transition into something else, a monster. The Metamorphosis of Bunny Baxter by Barbara Carroll Roberts. Look, you love a book with a dog on the cover. This is a girl who has to go to a new school, a new middle school, and she misses her friends and makes a plan to get expelled so she can go back to her old school. What could go wrong? Stitch by Padraig Kenny. This is a middle grade retelling of Frankenstein. And Laura E. Weymouth has Steel and Spellfire out in YA Today. This is about a mage who is masquerading as a debutante to try to find someone with her same powers and save her kingdom. I want to give a shout out to A Fragile Enchantment, which is out in paperback today. This was one of my favorite Parnassus Next picks of last year. Speaking of Parnassus Next picks, Elise mentioned this. The book comes out next week, and next week the author will be here, Rebecca Danzenbaker. This is her first book. She'll be here on Saturday, August 2nd. It's Soul Match. Look at that beautiful cover. If you're a fan of Divergent, you're going to love this book. So YA readers, tell your friends and come out on that Saturday night, a week from Saturday. Thanks for listening, and thanks so much for shopping at Parnassus Books.